to worship him? You mean to tell me when they stopped singing that you forgot who he was? Every now and then we need a reminder of where we come from. In the midst of this world where we spend more time talking ourselves out of our dreams and our destiny than actually living them, we need a reminder of the cloth that we're cut from. That we are the chosen, righteous people of God. That he breathed his own breath into us. Every breath we take is a breath of God. And we so foolishly give it away to negative thoughts and negative opinions and fears and insecurities that every now and then we have to come into the house of God and remember who gave us this breath, who gave us this life. And instead of allowing our ambition to be the center of who we are and our potential to be the center of who we are, to just remember that Jesus, you're making it all go around. That even when things are out of my control, that they're in your control. And so I'm trusting in the one who knows what's on the other side of this mountain. I'm trusting on the one who knows what's on the other side of this pain and on the other side of this insecurity. I'm trusting in the one who is who he is. That he is faithful even when we give up. How many times have we cheated on the lover of our souls? And so when we come into worship, we realign ourselves with the original idea he had when he created us. We open our hearts and our minds and our souls, and we give up our right to be right. That maybe you really do know a little bit of something. I mean, I know you created the earth, and I know that you created this world, and I know you know my beginning from my end, and I know somewhere along the way I took back control. But when I am worshiping, I say, God, have your way in my life. Is your life worship? Not music, not singing. When you leave this place, do you live a life of worship? I don't want us to be so self-involved that we forget the opportunity to be God-conscious. That we miss the opportunity to really let go of our idea of who we have to be and give him full permission to mold our lives into whatever he desires, even when we think we can't handle it. Sometimes we don't want to let God have control because he play too much and he make us do stuff that we aren't really sure we can stand up to. God don't play with y'all like he played with me. Sometimes God requires something of me that I'm just not sure I can give. I'm just not sure I can be that committed. And so instead of walking out on water, I stay in the comfort of my own boat and look at others who have managed to step out on faith and wish I had the courage. But when we live a life of worship, our life becomes courage. Living a life of worship means that on my own I am not capable, so that inadequacy I feel is correct because I need you to do this with me. And if your walk doesn't require that you lean on the faithfulness of God, you are going down the wrong path, I promise you. By your own strength, you cannot do it. Leaning and depending on others will not get the job done. You have to be willing to stand, even if that means standing on your own. That there is nothing you aren't willing to sacrifice for the righteousness of God. Because ultimately, He has called us to do great exploits. And we can't do great exploits and stay comfortable at the same time. So when we worship, He's expanding our insides so that we have the capacity to fulfill all that He's called us to do. I'm grateful for the stretching that I'm going through right now. And it's not always easy to be grateful for stretching because you got to get in uncomfortable positions. And you have to find out what's hurting and where there are knots and where things are still bound inside of you. But the stretching means that those things that once had you bound are going to have to let go of you. Every stronghold must come down. Every chain must be broken. And I will worship until there is release. And I will give you the glory even when I don't understand what's going on. Because your name will be made great. And I can withstand what it takes to walk with you. Surely, if you can send your son and hang him on a cross, if you would humble yourself to come on my level and say, I understand what it's like to be you, but it's still possible that through your pain there is a purpose. You are a miracle. Your life is a miracle. And until you see the grace of your life being a miracle, you will always question while you're on this earth. The hand of God has been hovering on your life since the moment you were formed in your mother's womb. Even when your mother didn't want you, the hand of God was on your life. Even when your father abandoned you, the hand of God was on your life. That means your validation doesn't come from acceptance. It comes from standing in the reality that this breath is a promise that I have purpose. And as long as I'm breathing, I can't promise I'll have all the answers. I cannot promise that I will always get it right. But I promise I will sacrifice every desire, every accursed thing in my life, and any blessing that I think I have to hold on to for your ultimate will. We don't have to handcuff ourselves to a blessing because we're afraid that another one isn't coming. He's that good to us. That if you would release the limits on your own mind, He can do exceedingly and abundantly. Don't put a limit on what God can do in your life. He's not finished with you yet. There is yet more for you to do. Don't forget that you are legacy. You are legacy. You are legacy. Legacy. We are the children of God. And I'm going to hurry up because I know PT has to preach. I just want to say one thing. I spent most of my life under the mantle of being T.D. Jakes' daughter. I don't know if you all know who he is. In the church world, people do know him. Our church has 35,000 members, and I spent most of my life trying to disconnect myself from my last name because I didn't feel worthy of the weight that comes with being T.D. Jakes' daughter. And the moment that I realized that I was legacy, whether I chose to live in it or not, if I didn't find myself in the heart of Hollywood at some crazy church on La Brea and Melrose, here to tell you, don't forget where you came from. That you are legacy. And when we come into this room, we are brothers and sisters reminding one another that there is legacy yet on our lives.